So I'm Natasha, and I'm part of the FinTech team. And so yeah, everyone's like out of town right now, so I'll be presenting. So we researched artificial intelligence and machine learning within InsurTech. And so recently, there's been a kind of shift in the insurance industry just because of the different events that have been happening. And so because of this, users have been kind of expecting more from their insurance companies just because of the technology that's been added on. And so this is kind of where InsurTech comes in because it's the intersection of insurance and technology. And so this is kind of what we research in order to see like what they've been doing and kind of where they can go in the future. So there are three main problems in this space right now. The first one is the ability to detect insurance fraud. So right now, insurance fraud really takes up about 20% of like the insurance problems, and so this is a really big problem that technology can really help to solve. And so the second problem is once again the increase in consumer demands, and technology can again help with this. And the third one is the price. So here on the left, you can see the graph that shows that the people who said that they're uninsured, it's mainly because the cost is too high, so it's just too expensive, so they can't afford it. And then on the right here, you can see that there are 27.5 million people that are uninsured, and so this is a really big number that is basically just because it's too expensive, and with the added technology, the cost will end up decreasing. So there are a lot of effects from artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is basically how machines can act and think like humans, just like human intelligence. And so because of this, there are two main different effects from it. The first one is its ability to reduce human bias and human error just because they are machines. So they don't have like human emotions or anything like that. So they're able to reduce this error and then also reduce the bias that comes with it. So they're more fair to those that they're kind of helping. And the second one is the ability to predict potential insurance claims because they have so much data aggregated within it. They can really use that data to make accurate estimates. So there are three current players in this space right now that all use artificial intelligence within their companies. The first one is Liberty Mutual and State Farm, who use it to go through like their claims process to calculate the different claims amounts that they want. The second one is Allstate, which has a chatbot named Abby that kind of takes the user if they have any financial literacy problems or if they just don't understand something, she's there to help them. And the third one is Progressive, which uses predictive analysis in order to predict these claims so that it's more accurate in the future. So there are also some changes that are occurring in the industry, like I kind of mentioned before. The first one is the speed, because right now it takes about 2 weeks for an insurance claim to be filed, but with this it can be way quicker, which is something, once again, that people had problems with, was that it just took a long time, so this can really help to solve that problem. The second one is personalized insurance premiums. Because there's so much data, the machines can kind of take a person for who they are and then get the data specifically for them instead of kind of mixing them in with the pool of people as a whole. And the last one is, once again, the predictive technology, which can really help to predict the insurance claims and once again makes it quicker. So we kind of dived into a case study on the company Lemonade. So Lemonade is an InsurTech company, and so right now they have three main things that they do. So it's service, software, and result. And so under services, they help to file the process the claims. And so under software, they have a lot of data that they use, which can really help to minimize human interaction, which helps to make it faster. And so right now, they have two chatbots that they use. One is named Jim. And so what they do is they take the customer through the claims process from the very beginning to the very end. And so as of right now, 5 out of 6 claims from 2016 have required human intervention, which basically means that the case was a little bit too complicated for the chatbot to kind of go from the beginning to the end, but it also shows that one of them could take the human from the very beginning to the very end, which kind of shows where the future can go, as it's 1 right now, but in the future it can go to maybe 6 out of 6. And the last one is the result. So there's 2 different results. The first one is speed, which I'll touch on a little bit in the next slide. And the second one is less interaction, once again, because since they have so much data within them, they don't have to constantly ask the customer for more information, like where do you live and things like that. They just have all of the data already stored in it. And so this is a quote from an article. And so basically what it says is that the #1 ranked insurers' claims take over 300,000 times as long as Lemonade's AI gym. And so this really shows that instead of 2 weeks, it can really cut it down to such a small number, which is really something that humans look for, is really convenience, and this really makes it convenient for them. And so the next steps within the insurtech industry, the first one is, again, increased affordability. Because there may not be as much need for human intervention and like humans, now all of these technology aspects can take over and kind of make it cheaper as well. The second one is to minimize fraud, because once again, they're not humans, so they don't have like any room for human error or bias or anything, and so it can really help to kind of have a third-party eye view on it. And the last one is improved user experience, because once again, it's really personalized to the user, which is really something that customers look for. And so for in the future, outside of insurtech, we are really interested in the emerging markets. We don't know too much about the emerging markets right now, which is why we're really interested to kind of go into it and kind of see what different fintech stuff are happening in emerging markets. And so one of them was the credit rating, because a lot of businesses over there, it's really hard to get what their credit rating is, just because the system's a little bit different. And so what technology can do in that aspect is really take data from similar businesses and use that to kind of figure out what their claim or their credit score is. Thank you.
There are circumstances where human interaction and automation are, some circumstances automation gives more satisfaction, and in some circumstances it does not, right?
Yeah.
So how can a fintech kind of solution accommodate that? Like, for example, imagine that you got to 6 out of 6 on AI Gym, and it was literally impossible to talk to somebody about your very complex problem.
Yeah.
How can we prevent that?
Yeah. So right now it's kind of similar to like mobile banking. So we have like the apps and like the chatbots on that, but we also have the option to talk to a human representative. So I think it won't be that humans will be like completely out of the picture. This will be like another option for customers if they want that faster process, but humans.
There's always a sort of a way to circumvent the bot. But I got a new credit card in the mail this morning, and I got really totally stuck getting it activated because the automated system did not recognize the new number yet. And the first thing they want you to do is type your number in, and they would say, "That's not your number." I would go, "The hell it isn't," you know. Yeah, it took me a long time to figure it out. So when you talk about bias, I would say you have to be cautious in talking about automation eliminating bias. It does eliminate human error, but the algorithm can institutionalize bias, so that if the algorithm says, you know, this makes you a riskier driver, then even if that is not always the case or not necessarily the case, it's hard to get around it. And there's actually a live legislative issue on this right now that Rashida Tlaib who is a congresswoman recently from the Detroit area, is trying very hard to get insurance companies to take credit ratings out of the algorithm that guesses how much you should pay for your insurance, on the grounds that credit rating and driving risk are not directly related. And the algorithm says, of course, well, maybe they're not causally related, but they are in fact correlated. So we're justified in using that. And the effect of it is to make it very expensive to be poor. So I would just say the error thing is entirely right, but the bias thing is a really live, hot question in technology right now, because we all know of situations where the technology fails some people more than other people. Like facial recognition is a thing right now. Like many of the facial recognition algorithms that are out there are very bad at people of color and not very good at women. Yeah. And so that's just kind of a remaining question to solve. Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that, I think a couple of weeks ago, Facebook discontinued some type of advertisement on its platform because advertisers were using it to, again, it was another type of algorithm that was, like she said, institutionalizing bias there. And so I would just be careful when you talk about that to, in the way that you phrase it. I think, so as an impact investor, this does feel a little bit like everyone has their own definition of impact. To me, this feels a little bit outside the scope of what I would say is impact, but I respect the fact that you might have a different definition of it. As an impact investor, where do you think would be the best place to put your money in this space? Are there obviously, they're probably not going to invest in large insurance companies, but is there startups or other places where people could put their money to good to help in this space?
I think I really like the lemonade example that I gave, just because they are like a startup. They only started a couple years ago, and so I think that they really have like the opportunity to really make like a big difference inside of the insurance space, and like to kind of help to impact different people to like make the process easier and things like that.
Question that I have no answer for at all is, how could you use the underlying technology and the notion of algorithms to serve a broader population instead of a narrower? So instead of just saying we're only going to take perfect drivers, or we're only going to recognize certain kinds of faces, you could use that same piece of technology and that idea of eliminating human error to prevent various forms of human bias. I don't know what the answer to that is, but it seems to me that the technology could be used to some more public purpose. I just don't know what it looks like.
Cool.
Thanks.